Hello. So today we are going to be reading from the book of Exodus 15, verse 22 to 26, right? So this is basically the part where God has saved or delivered the Israelites from slavery, and they've crossed the Red Sea, and this is just after they've crossed the Red Sea, right? And then it says in Exodus 15 verse 22, then Moses made Israelites set out from the Red Sea, and they went into the wilderness of Shur. They went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. Then they came to Marah. They could not drink the water of Marah because it was bitter. Therefore it was named Marah. And the people grumbled against Moses, saying, what shall we drink? And he cried to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a log, and he threw it into the water, and the water became sweet. Then the Lord made for them a statute and a rule, and there he tested them, saying, if you will diligently listen to the voice of the Lord your God, and do that which is right in his eyes, and give ear to his commandments, and keep his statutes, I will put none of the diseases on you that are put on the Israelites, for I am the Lord your healer. Right. And as I was reading this, I was like, okay, why did God make the Israelites go through the wilderness? Why did he take them through, why didn't he just take them to the promised land, right? What's the whole point of the wilderness? You just saved these people from slavery, and then you're making them go to the wilderness before you're taking them to the promised land. What's the whole point of it? Why not just directly put them in the promised land, right? And then I thought about it. I'm like, okay, but wait. When you actually think about it, God saved the Israelites from slavery, right? And then you have to understand, in slavery, the Israelites developed habits, mentalities, beliefs, ways of doing things to help them cope with the fact that they were in slavery, right? And so if God had just taken the Israelites straight from Egypt and into the promised land, then they would take whatever habits, mentalities, attitudes, whatever it is that they developed in slavery straight into the promised land. And then they wouldn't be able to properly steward whatever it is God has for them in that, right? And so it's like, when you think about it, as us human beings, is sure, we may not be slaves, physically bound, but we have our own version of slavery. We have our own things that we struggle with that are not really good. It could be addictions, it could be a bad working environment, it could be a bad relationship. We have our own version of slavery that we need God to deliver us from, right? And when you think about it, it's like, yes, you can get delivered from that, right? Say, for example, you're in a bad relationship and God delivers you from that bad relationship. You're free. You're no longer in a bad relationship. But that doesn't change the fact that you had to develop certain habits, certain mentalities, certain ways of doing things because you're in that bad relationship. Now you have trust issues because you're in a bad relationship. Now God can put you into another relationship before you deal with that trust issue, because now, you're gonna find a new relationship with an amazing person, but those trust issues that you developed in your last relationship, you're just gonna take them into the new relationship and ruin that, right? And so the whole point of the wilderness was for God to not just deliver the Israelites from slavery, but also deliver them from the habits and the ways of doing things, the attitudes, the mentalities that they had to develop because of slavery, right? And you can see it in if you go further down in chapter 16 verse 1, it says, then they set out from Elim, and all the congregation of the people of Israel came to the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after they had departed from the land of Egypt. And the whole congregation of the people of Israel grumbled against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. And the people of Israel said to them, would that We had died by the hand of the Lord in the land of Egypt when we sat by the meat pots and ate bread to the full. For you have brought us into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger. And I think the whole point was, you have to think about it. Yes, the Israelites were slaves and it was bad, but they had a certain way of doing things, and they had gotten used to certain things, right? So yes, they were slaves, but they got food regularly, and they got clean water regularly, and these were some of the comforts that came with slavery. And so when God delivered them from slavery, he also delivered them from the comfort of always knowing, okay, I have food whenever I want, and I have clean water whenever I want, right? And so now they're in the wilderness, and that's not there, and they start complaining to God. It's like, why did you bring us here? Because even though we're slaves, we ate, right? Even though we're slaves, we had clean water, and now we're starving, and you've brought us into this wilderness. Like, yeah, you delivered us from slavery, but look, look at how things are. And I think if you think about it, even just to a day-to-day lives, right? Think about, say for example, you're in a bad job, and your job is not really great. Like, it's not a great working environment for you. Your boss is not good. Your manager is not good. Like, it's just really not a great place for you. Even though that job is bad, you're getting paid, and you like the fact that you're getting paid, right? And so then every day you wake up, you're like, oh God, I have to wake up so early to go to this place that I don't like, to go into this job that I don't like, with these people I don't like, And then God takes that away from you, right? And God takes you out of that job. And when he takes the job away, he's not just taking out the bad employees and the bad working environment, he's also taking the paycheck. He's taking the salary, right? And so now you have to go through a season where it's like, I know that job was bad, but at least I was getting paid. I know slavery was bad, but at least we got food and water, right? And it's kind of like that. It's like we can have bad situations or bad environments, but they're not always 100% bad. And sometimes there's certain comforts or pleasures that we get in those bad situations or bad environments that when we think of letting go, it's very hard for us. Like, when you're thinking, okay, yeah, I really want this bad thing to stop, and I really want to be delivered from that, but then I also have to lose this good thing that I'm benefiting from it. So yes, the Israelites wanted to be free, and they were freed, but now it means that they not just got the freedom, they now had to lose the comfort of knowing when that next meal is going to come. They had to lose the comfort of knowing that they had clean, good water to drink, right? Because you're not just going to get delivered from just the bad parts of something. You're also going to get delivered from the good parts that come with that. And so it's like, when the Israelites were in slavery, they were used to the good food. They were used to the water. They were used to having a solid place to sleep at. Even though, yes, they were in slavery and that was bad, those were the comforts that came with slavery. And when God delivered them from it, he also delivered them from those comforts. And so now they have to now be in this season or this period of time where, yes, we're free, but we've also lost the privileges and the luxuries that come with that with the slavery that we're in, right? And they now have to learn how to no longer rely on a thing, which is in this case could be the masters that they used to serve for food and water and clothing and shelter, and now have to rely on God. And if God had not put them through the wilderness, what they were going to do is they're going to go to Egypt, straight into the promised land. And then in the promised land, when they have days where there's no food, they're going to complain again, because they didn't learn how to no longer put their faith or their trust in that thing anymore, but now put it on God. They had to now learn that, okay, my food is not going to come from my master anymore because I don't have a master anymore. My food now has to come from God, and I have to trust that God has taken me out of this place and delivered me out of this place, and that He's gonna take care of me, right? And so it's like, yeah, my source of pleasure or comfort or peace, that I got from that situation, from that addiction, from that person, it's not, I can't get that anymore from that person, because God delivered me. Now I have to get it from Him. I have to look to Him to be like, okay, feed me. Kind of situation, right? Feed you now have to feed me. That sounded so weird. Feed me. But yeah, and that's the whole point of it. It's like, because the thing is, we can be in bad situations, right? And we can want to get out of them, but the damage sometimes that we get from the bad situations, the habits that we form because of the bad situations, and just the way of coping because of the bad situation, we can't take them into this new land that God is taking us into, this new season, this new job, this new relationship, this new way of living. That what we often see is, we can be in situations as humans where we know, like, this thing that we're doing, or this place that we're at, or this person that we're with, it's not really good for us, right? We know that. We don't deny that. But when we think of leaving it, we think, oh, but I'm gonna lose that thing, that good thing that I get from, like, yeah, my partner is bad, but who am I gonna hang out with during the weekend? Who am I gonna go on dates with? Who's gonna tell me I'm beautiful? Or it's not. So it's like, and because of that, because of our fear of losing the good thing, we often find ourselves getting stuck in situations we have no business being in, stuck in situations or environments where we know that it's not good for us. But because we don't want to let go, of that good thing that we're getting, whether sense of comfort or security or pleasure, whatever it is that we're getting from our addictions, people that we surround ourselves with that we know it's not bad, or those situations we put ourselves in that we know we shouldn't be in. And it's like, okay, I know, like, I hear you, Prophet, like, I hear you, it's bad, but if I stop, if I walk away, I lose this, and I don't think I'm ready to lose this, right? And so that's kind of the whole point of the wilderness, was God had to let the Israelites learn a new way of living. Up till when they were freed, they had to depend on someone else. They had to depend on their masters for food. And this can be for us like, okay, yeah, you can be like, nah, I'm not in slavery. How does this apply to me? You depend on, your job for money. You depend on your friends, to not be lonely and not be alone. You depend on your addiction to give you pleasure. Like, you depend on that thing that is not good for you. And God is like, okay, but I want to teach you that you shouldn't depend on that. I want to teach you that you should depend on me instead, right? You're no longer a slave to your drinking, or you're no longer a slave to smoking, or to your addiction. You're no longer a slave to this bad relationship. You're no longer a slave to this bad working environment, this bad family situation. No, you are free, and I freed you. And so now you have to learn to trust me and rely on me, God, as the person that's gonna give you that peace that you're looking for in that bad relationship, the person that's going to give you that provision that you're looking for in that bad job, as the person that's going to give you that pleasure and that satisfaction that you're looking for in that addiction, right? As the person who's going to feel that numbness and that void that you're trying to feel when you're running to a bottle, right? So and that's basically the whole point of it. It's, I can't take you into this new place because I know you still have habits of this old place that I delivered you from. And so first we have to deal with those habits. We have to deliver you from those habits. We have to teach you a new way of doing things, a new way of thinking, a new way of living, before we can take you to this new place, to this promised land. Because if we take you prematurely, you're gonna ruin it. Because same thing like what I said, like, just because they go to the promised land doesn't mean everything's gonna be perfect. Doesn't mean that everything's gonna work out the way they thought. Like, they're gonna have struggles. And if they don't learn who to run to when they have struggles, they're just gonna, not be able to properly steward the environment, the situation, that the land that God has brought them into. And then that would kind of defeat the whole purpose, because God won't let you walk into that promised land until you're ready. God won't let you go to the place that he's taking you until he feels like you're really ready for it. And so my advice to you would be, yeah, things may be difficult, and things may not go the way you thought they were gonna go when God delivered you from something, whatever, what it is that you're struggling with, right? But embrace it and ask God, okay, what is it that you want me to learn right now? What is it that you're trying to teach me in this moment in time? Because until you've learned it, you're not gonna go anywhere. Like, he's literally not gonna take you to where he's gonna keep you in that wilderness until you've learned. And you can see it as you read further in Exodus, because this was supposed to be like a 40-day journey, right? This was just supposed to be 40 days in the wilderness, good. But then the Israelites started building their own gods. They started being disobedient to God, started turning away from God, and God was like, okay, since you want to be stubborn and do things your own way and not learn what I'm trying to teach you, which is to put your faith in me, to keep my commandments, and you want to do that, then I'm gonna keep you for 40 years and you're not gonna see that promised land, right? And so it's like, don't yearn for the things that God delivered you from. Don't look back, because if you go in Genesis, when God was delivering Lot and his wife from Sodom and Gomorrah, because he's gonna rain fire on them, and he said to them, don't look back, right? You can run, but don't look back. And what did Lot's wife do? She looked back, right? And it's like, don't look back to where God has delivered you from, where God has saved you from, where God has pulled you from, right? Like, yes, I know, like, maybe now it's not nice. Like, yeah, you're free, but it's from your own version of slavery, but it's uncomfortable. Seems like things are not going well. Like, you thought, like, okay, I'm gonna move from this bad job and automatically into a good job, but now you have to deal with unemployment, or or maybe like a low salary at this good job. Whatever it is that God is basically doing in you, is don't look back, because what God has delivered you from is not what God had for you. And why God is taking you is where he really wants you to be. But he's not going to take you there until you actually fully learn and embrace whatever it is he's trying to teach you right now. So this preparation season, which, we can call the wilderness the preparation season, is, okay, I'm getting ready for whatever it is he has for me. And I just want to make sure that I'm getting ready the way he wants me to learn. To get ready, I'm learning whatever it is he wants me to learn. Like, And it's easier said than done. It is easier said than done, because it's easier to be like, yeah, don't look back, and just trust that God's gonna deliver you, and he's gonna take you and keep his promise to you. It's not always easy when you're in that transition period, right? It's not always easy, because and it's like, embrace it. Embrace it. Easier said than done. Go to God, ask for strength, to make it through the wilderness. Ask him to reveal to you the areas in your life that you may or may not be aware of, that are holding you back from reaching the place that he's trying to take you. Ask him to, okay, I know what you've told me. How can I best prepare for that? You get it? And so yeah, that's basically the part that I want to talk about, which is Exodus 15, 22 to 26, with the addition of Exodus 16, 1 to 3. Yeah. But yeah, see you next time. Bye.